You trust me?
I don't know. All right, give her a little love tap there. God, how'd you break your hammer? I've never seen anybody break a hammer before.
Hey, thanks for watching. I got help. TC Penick, thank you so much. We've been working here for a couple of hours on the garbage Camaro, and so I set the doors in place to locate the quarters and build the rest of it back. And true to form, somebody with a little bit more experience in building cars from nothing is here. So talk a little bit about, and we'll educate you as to where TC comes from, Bay One Customs. If you don't know him from knowing me, you will by the end of this episode. So talk about why we have the front nose on and the fenders lined up to the doors and stuff like that.
Well, when I come in here, you know, this car being cut apart and then it been damaged on that left side, you lose all your points of references. And ultimately, you have to have that outer shell all the way around. I mean, it's an exact number of that surface area all the way around. And as we go along here, that's what we're doing here. We'll set this piece, set all your panels and relocate them so that the outer shell is locked in the right place.
Right,
Which takes a little bit of time to do this mock-up. The mock-ups are the biggest time-consuming part of it, just to get one little number.
But it's important, and what you educated me about was, you know, and I was going to be fine with locking the quarters into the doors, and then come what may on the front end, and I can adjust around there. And I could have gotten there by doing that, but what you're talking about is we established the gap, all transitions, hood, we've measured the hood, we've had the front end on and off and these fenders, and we've got everything really close and consistent. So now we just apply that consistency to the back end panels because we know what's happening up front, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and along with the panels, you have the mechanical parts of the window. So like without having all these measurements and setting this door, then we got to know if our window has enough adjustment and ability to work after it's done, because I've learned the school of hard knocks and put these in before and not been able to get my window adjusted to the right spot.
Right.
Which we've got all that now, and we can go on with it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these cars, they've been moved around quite a bit, so even though if you used to take this car and lock it down, it still could be moved a little bit.
Yeah.
And your main number is making this door fit this pocket and that window fit that hole.
Yeah.
And then you can build out from there.
Right.
So I usually build out the outer skin and then build out to it. You know, adjust the panels to fit the landings to where this outer shell is at.
Right. And that makes perfect sense to me. And I've done enough of these cars to know that we have a pretty good bit of adjustment in the windows. It's a huge glass. It's a huge freaking door. But there's a lot of in and out movement on there. So I'm confident that when we get these doors locked in, we can take it up in the windows. But we'll roll the silly things up and we'll measure. The thing about it is the car's been, the only way the car could be any more disassembled is if we took everything off of the floor pan. And then there's nothing left. So it's been whittled down to just about the bare minimum. So there is no reference left from the original car.
Yeah,
so,
and that's what you get sometimes.
Yeah.
And you just have to make it from there.
Yeah.
But like a car like this, it doesn't have a quarter glass. That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because that quarter glass is going to dictate you to that rear quarter.
Right, right.
So luckily, we don't have one of those to deal with.
So the strategy is what we're going to do is mock everything up again with Tetz screws, but we're going to pre-drill where all the plug welds are going to go first. So that way, when we get it Tetz screwed up into place and lock it in and lock the gaps in, we can burn it in as we go. And I've been debating whether or not to do taillight panel quarter, but TC thinks that we should do quarter, taillight panel, and then we can massage it and fit it against the trunk lid. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, exactly. And also, while we're doing that, go ahead and prep everything. Do the Weld-Through Primer, have all the plug welds ready, and then when we get the Tetz screws in place, then we can start locking it down.
Yeah, yeah. What's your phrase?
Cut and shove to fit.
Cut and shove to fit.
Yeah, because if you can think about all this sheet metal and just hovering it around it, and then adjust all the metal accordingly.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that outer surface is going to have to match all the way around.
So before we get too deep in it, and I forget to mention it, if you want to see samples of his work, go to his channel, Bay One Customs. He's got a good YouTube channel, and you use it for outreach for your customers more than just having a YouTube channel. It's brilliant marketing, is you get to tell your customers exactly what's happening that day, but you've documented the supercharger. So TC's done a body swap on a 69 Charger onto a 2016 Hellcat, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's an amazing car, and it draws a crowd everywhere it stops, and it's just a really nicely done car. But it's just I actually want you to describe in a couple of short sentences what the journey was on that thing.
Oh gosh, that'd be hard to do because there was no script. You know, my customer just come to me, it's like, I want this and I want that. But he wanted it to be where he could take it to the dealer and his wife drive it. He could have it worked on. He could buy parts anywhere. So when you start, a lot of these you see, they're so customed that you're stuck at one shop trying to get it tuned and get it repaired and all this. So I built him a car that he can go anywhere and get done. And then with the videos that I've done on it, if we have any issues with anything, I can say, hey TJ, go back and look at episode 12, and that shows where the speaker was mounted or whatever it is. So, and TJ's was a little not as in depth as the one I did for Bruce High, the Woody. His is really in depth, and I wish I'd have done a lot more on TJ's that way, because it is documentation on just about every inch of his car. Because he's in California, so I did his a little more accurate because he is in California. Right. So he had a little issue with his dome light, and I just said to go look at this episode. He could see where the controller was, and then went right in there and repaired it. And it's good for my customers to see what they pay for.
Absolutely, because there's a lot of labor time, and we're going to talk about that later on, but there's a lot of time wrapped up into these builds, and that's one of the things that I want to show with this channel is a glimpse into not the actual real time, because we can't have a 25-hour video on setting the front end, but I want to have a glimpse into the commitment that it takes from a time perspective on building these cars. So when you go to Bay One Customs and you see some of TC's handiwork, and we'll show some teaser clips here and there while we're talking about this, but yeah, it's worth checking it out. So go over to Bay One Customs and check out some of Chuck's handiwork for sure.
Yep.
So what's next? What do we do?
Hang sheet metal. Start hanging sheet metal.
All right, good. All right, so I'm going to start on this side. I've got it cut out, but the seatbelt hump patch, I've got to weld that in. So if you want to start on that side, the wheelhouse is ready to get installed, because we got to build that out, and then trunk drop-offs, and then quarters and all that stuff. So anyway.
All right, sounds good.
All right. So right here, if you look at this, same thing as we did on the other side. I flattened this out. The metal is in better shape here, and I've got my patch here. So what we're going to do is do a combination of butt welds and rosette welds. I'm going to plug weld it across the bottom and just burn it in butt weld style right here. And yeah, and then once that's done, I'll put some of that rust treatment on there. But yeah, okay. Get some PPE.
So the bottom though, you've got a pinch welder that will weld that.
Yeah, I've got a spot welder that'll.
All right.
You just got to prep both sides of it. I see what you do.
That piece is laying right underneath there.
Perfect.
Unless this can go up a little bit, but I don't know.
It doesn't go up enough. Well, it kind of does. Yeah. That's pretty good right there.
Outside of it. With, if I put that on first, I can't. I'm just gonna make it fit right here first.
Right. Okay. Yep. And of course that's a patch, so that's not original. So if you have to move things around to make them fit, just go for it. What do you think?
It's gonna take some fitting.
Yep. Yep. I meant to tell you, up underneath here, I had to do some trimming. There was a braze up in there, and it was keeping this from seating properly. I gotta grind down the other side.
That's what I'm having to do here, so it's hitting right there.
Right, right.
I'm gonna take that off.
Yeah.
I think this this rocker's a little tall right there.
Okay.
We may have to do something different there. I don't know.
All right. We can do a relief cut and break it down.
That or maybe this might just need to come out a little right there, but
Right.
until I can get that, but now that I know it's too short here, while I've got it up, I'm gonna go ahead and mark it here. I've marked it here, marked it here, marked it here, marked it. Anything I know that's got to come off.
Yeah.
That way I ain't got to keep mocking it up a bunch of times. And this is in pretty close.
Yeah, those fit pretty good when I was playing with it. All right, so holy smokes, the camera's just all goofy. All right, there we go. All right, so where we at? So we've got this, you've got your wheelhouse kind of fit to the drop off, yes?
Yes, yes. And I've got it roughed in to where I have the quarter panel now going on there pretty good.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and drill my holes, put my Weld-Through Primer on it, and get those ready, because I'm probably not gonna have to take those off again, hopefully.
Right.
But I did this last mock-up. I set the quarter panel, marked everywhere that it was touching, and then I've got it over here, gonna trim all that, and then while it's off, take advantage of it being off, because there's so many mock-ups to try to eliminate as many as possible.
Well, I'm gonna get to where you are on my side. I'm almost there. I've got holes punched in the top here. I've just got it set in place with zip screws. This right here, I've got it, we're gonna do a lap weld and a butt joint down at the bottom of there, and that'll be just fine. And this guy, I've just kind of tried to mock this up. That's my old markings before, you know, so this doesn't work at all. So I've just got to work this side and get it to the point where you've got your side to where this is a nice continuous line. I just got to mess around with it, right?
Yep.
And yeah, and then this here, you had to do a little bit of relief on your side over here. No big deal, we'll stitch that up. We got the hot metal glue gun, and yeah, we're sneaking up on it.
Most of the time these panels fit pretty good. They get bent in the boxes or whatever, but also you're going in a car that's been moved a little bit as well. And then you add the two together.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of...
I mean, the point I made before in doing the mock-up video was you get a 16th off on this panel. We've got 12 panels that we're replacing. So what's that? What's that math? We're well 3/8 of an inch off. So the gaps aren't going to be perfect out of the box. They just aren't. So we're in the process of final mock-up, and I love the strategy of let's get it fit, let's get it ready to burn in, and that way we know that it's where it's gonna be.
Yep.
Don't bug me about my glasses. So TC's getting his stuff ready. He's got Weld-Through Primer already up in there, holes punched. This part is ready. This is going to be probably one of the most complicated pieces to weld, just because it's such a tight fit up in there. So I don't know, we'll just do the best we can. I'm pretty okay with my quarter placement. I've got to do some digging up in here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Wait. See how that edge is folded? I just need to trim that a little bit to get a little bit tighter tolerance. This will pinch somewhat, but it needs to have a natural seat right there. And I just thought of something. I have probably bent this part of it right here, disassembling it. Yeah, look how that's folded back. So I can fold this up into the quarter panel, because all this up in here, it fits pretty good. I just don't want it to be under too much tension, and I want enough adjustment here where we've got lots of striker adjustments. All right, we're sneaking up on it a little bit at a time. We will continue to check in with you, and we're going to be burning metal pretty soon. I'm excited.
It does snap on. Snap on quarter.
So before you put that on for the last time, I've got this brush on rust converter I'm going to paint up in there.
I had it happen to me last week, and it was a disaster, man. I can't even tell you how much a disaster it was. I was filling my oil tank, and I got that 300 gallons of oil.
Yeah.
And I was filling it up, and the phone rang, and fiddle party around, and did all that, and then come back, and there was oil running into my room, my main room.
No.
I forgot to shut the valve off.
I got to ask, you marked your holes to drill there, but you went in between and once.
Yeah, well, once I started, they were a little off, so I tried to just keep them consistent.
Gotcha. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
So is that all the holes we got to drill, you think?
Yeah, that's all. I just got to go back and clean up the back side of them, put some Weld-Through Primer on them.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll show you what the back side looks like. It's where that goes through and it pushes all that out.
Yep, we got to get rid of that.
Clean all that up.
Prime it up. Yep, because those things, that's a guaranteed rust point.
Yep. And stick that and make it not fit as well.
Yep. Absolutely, yeah, that creates a tolerance. All right, so we're at a crossroads here. We're ready to start melting metal, right? Look at this. So we've got Weld-Through Primer on the backside. That's a conversion coating, and it's a paint unless it hits rust, and then it converts to rust. So that's kind of cool. So all of this is ready to go. You've got all your holes drilled here, right?
Yep, I think so. That's the biggest thing, trying to remember where all the holes are going to be drilled, and also how you're going to be able to weld it after you get it installed.
Yeah.
But I think we've got them all. But some of these are really crucial in here for the strength of that post.
Well, and it's a structural member of this car. It's super important, right?
Yes.
And this right here, we're going to do a combination of resistance welds and plug welds. You can see that we've got a few holes there, but it's kind of low-hanging fruit with pinched panels here that we got easy access to. We're going to use the spot welder. Same with here until it gets to here. Then that bottom jaw won't fit in there, so we're going to plug weld to here, and then just yeah. And all of this stuff, we're going to do some plug welding here. The jaw for the spot welder won't fit up in here in this crazy tight, but I don't know. We're just going to do all we can with that spot welder. The thing I like about that thing is that there's almost no cleanup. You buzz over it with 80 grit and you're done. Put some Piclex on it, and that's it.
Yeah, you can see, and it's good penetration right there, because if you look on the other side of it, it's penetrated through. And another thing I like to do when I get done with this, just to make sure that you got everything, is I come back with a two-part epoxy, like a 3M two-part bonding adhesive, and seam seal all these once they're all done, because they're prepped and cleaned and ready to go.
Absolutely.
And help keep down a rattle, because if you had a rattle inside of there, it would be bad. But
yeah, well, I'm going to have easy access into all of these areas, even just with the trunk open. I'll be able to get to all of those areas, put a nice bead of seam sealer on there. Yeah. And here, I'm going to flip this over on the rotisserie, do my floors and all that kind of stuff, but I'll be able to get this from the inside and put my bead of sealer to stop any moisture penetration there.
Yep.
And we'll get her sealed up better than the factory did, I know that.
Yep, and it's real important to use that Weld-Through Primer. When you put that weld on there, it'll actually shrink a little bit, and it'll suck that zinc right around that weld.
Yeah, yeah. So I did a pull test, and if you watch the channel, I did a pull test on E-coated panels without grinding it off on the inside, and that heat-affected zone is tiny, and the E-coat is intact right up to the point of that weld.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's really cool. So we don't have to prep where we're going to pinch it, we don't have to prep the inside of it.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So
outstanding.
Yep. So that even less time investment. But it's getting close. On this side, I'm here. We got the rust converter doing its thing. All of this is trimmed up nice. We're getting close.
Yeah, and one more thing about doing all this metal work. In this car, he saved the original glass, so it doesn't matter if we damage it, but extremely important to mock up the glass.
Yes.
Before you finish all this out.
Yeah. And we can set that roof skin up on top of there as well if you feel like we need to.
We may to be able to index that glass.
Yeah.
Possibly. And I learned that at the School of Hard Knocks a long, long time ago. I had a car that was hit, and it was the front glass, and it had moved it just a little bit. And when we went to glue that glass in,
well, glass doesn't respond to tension very well.
Yeah, it doesn't move. So,
Yep.
And it's easy to fix now.
Yep. So we'll do that. I wish I had a windshield in the box, but hey, I don't know every damn thing, so shut up. Well, let's go get a bite to eat and let that primer dry, and come back here and start stuff on fire. All right, what do we got? That looks good. Yeah, that's nice and consistent all the way down there, and that's flush. So
That's not bad. And then that door could turn just a little bit.
yeah, we can bring it out at the bottom hinge because it's tucked in a little bit at the fender there too. At the rocker, that could come out a 16th, which would bring that in a 16th. And
Yeah. Yeah, and probably be in good shape.
yep.
And we can adjust this as we install it. You know.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yeah.
and also too, this back might need to come up when we do our windows. So like.
And that'll open up that gap too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let's do this. Let's get that screwed into place, and I'll do the same thing on the other side, and we'll lay that glass up in there. And
See how that looks.
Just to see how it looks in here. We can put the transition panel there, the cover-up thingy.
Yep. Sounds like a plan.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, if you give me a hand here a second,
Yep.
I'm gonna try to get it one right here, but I need that pushed all the way in there.
In that corner?
Yeah, yeah. All right. Car gods, be with us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got a little extra.
Yep.
We got a little. But that ain't the thing. I can dollar that back if we need.
Yep.
Probably could dial it back right. Oh, well, let's take that liner out. I could measure it and then do a strategic couple of taps right there.
Just right beside this.
There's right, yeah, right in that. Ready for that?
Ish. I'm gonna use. Nope. That hole's sloppy. You can see where it's seated before. There's the butyl from underneath. It looks pretty good here. Oh, yeah, it's got to come this way.
But it looks very doable.
And this will come up so that. What does that look like? It's pretty much the same on both sides. What's holding it up there? It's the top, right?
Well, and two, it's going to sit up there, about that high. When it's in the car.
Yep.
I got the tape on it.
Where,
Do you have a piece of the old trim? Yeah, it's right there. Isn't it?
yeah.
See how all that's in
It's all taped up. All right, so what we're doing is just kind of setting the trim pieces in there. We got the glass taped in temporarily, kind of centered, and it's looking like it's going to fit pretty good. But it's always a good idea to just confirm. Like this fits super nice and flush on this quarter. How does yours fit?
Yeah, mine's wonderful.
Yeah.
Will that corner sit down a little bit up against the glass right there?
Yes.
Yep, there it goes.
Yeah, so that's flush, and there's going to be a layer of butyl and urethane underneath there. And
Yep. Yep, so we know that glass will fit. And the good thing about it, the way that glass sits in there, mine is really nice and even with that body right there.
yeah.
So it tells me I got that quarter's in a pretty good spot right there.
And there's some wiggle room with this trim, and that's fine.
Yeah. And then we'll just work our way out, and we'll set this piece and then set the trunk.
Yeah.
And
Those corner pieces, that will have to be re-arched a little bit there, but I think it's going to work fine.
yep.
Alrighty.
Well, it was great you had that old piece of glass. There was two little corner pieces out there,
Yeah.
and that's the union.
Slides in, I think.
Here, let me give you some
So I'm just going to go hide this from myself so I don't step on it
And
somewhere.
here's the tape to tape it back together. All right, so we'll leave that there for a second and see how this next piece fits.
It needs to come down here. There's a screw hole there. Should I screw that in the middle and then look? Because this gap is nice right here. What's your gap?
I've probably got 5 millimeters right there. I could take a little, I could probably get a little more out of this.
Yeah, look here. This is about how that's supposed to fit. It's just a nice tight gap.
Yep.
If you remember on Zed's sled, we just burned that down. We just welded that down and body worked it. Do you want to run some screws in here and put the trunk on?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if I have to run screws in it, do
Okay.
we? We can just set it up on there. Where'd that thing go? But if this quarter came back and then we moved that one in because it was showing it needed to come in because of that other panel, we'd be good.
And that right there is not bad.
Yeah, so that one needs to come back.
Yeah.
And then this one just needs to come over just a little bit more.
All right, so after a lot of messing around, we've got a game plan. We're going to weld the inner fenders, the wheelhouses in, and this is we're going to open or close up that gap just a little bit on this side. TC's happy with the flush fit down at the bottom. And right here, you can't really tell it now because we've got everything loose, but this new transition panel works great. It's in the right place. We were able to pull the quarter up some more. And this side, it just needs to be, see, look at that. It just needs to be properly installed. And this right here, this quarter needs to go back because you can see it closes up in the middle. What we can do here, just a little bit of prying. See how that opens up? And it's super even all the way up to there. And Bob is our uncle. So that's the plan. Inner wheelhouses are ready to be burned in. And then we're going to go leapfrog side to side, establish the gap here, maybe put a couple of plug welds in and work our way towards the back. And then finally put that taillight panel in where we can adjust the up-down here of these quarters.
That's right. Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
Yep. Okay, so it's 3 o'clock. We started walking around this thing grunting about 8 o'clock this morning, right?
Yeah, somewhere there.
Yeah, so as much, I spent a lot of time tweaking, test fitting, trimming, and all that kind of stuff, making sure the panels could find their happy place. This is actually putting the panels in their happy place. It just takes that amount of time, right?
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
And the tech screws can be your friend in this point.
Yes, they are.
All right, let's get to welding.
All right, we burned it in. There's a chunk of metal that just became part of the car.
Yeah, it's on there. Good too.
Yep.
So we was able to hang the quarter and then come back and pull that to the quarter and then locked it down.
Yep.
And then pull the quarter and then weld it in place. So now it'll be real tight fit all the way around through there.
Yep. It looks good. I mean, you eyeballed it and it looks like it's supposed to. Awesome. We got all the protection on the backside, no bare metal. And you're gonna give it a little bit more, right? You're gonna paint that?
Yep. Put a little prime on it. And everything's been Weld-Through primed.
Yep. Both sides. Awesome, man. Awesome. We'll dress it up a little bit. Weld-Through Primer, yes. Forgot two, right there. Dang it. Okay.
Some of our disaster or just keeping it real.
We're keeping it real. All right, so it's dark o'clock outside. We have both agreed that we made a lot of progress today. It doesn't, well, no, it does seem like it. This quarter panel is not welded in, but that's exactly where it's gonna go. We've got a really nice panel gap there. And there's no tension, there's no pressure. We've already set the back glass in. So, all right.
And we still got it where we can move it. So it's secured down through there, and then we can still move this back. I got one screw in it right there.
One screw in it right there, and we can put that tail panel in. We've got all this up and down, right? We can adjust that.
And then we'll just work it out.
Yep. And I'm sighting down this quarter panel to the door. It's not even latched, it's just sitting there. And it looks really good. That door might have to come out of the bottom front corner, but whatever. That's a simple adjustment.
And everything underneath there has been primed.
Yep.
And painted over.
Yep. We've got this plug welded in. All of this is ready to weld. It's all burned in under here. So this is where it's going.
They put a lot of strength back in that car.
Well, you know, if you think about it, when I'm putting it on my rotisserie, it hooks to these mounts right here. The whole back half of the car keys off of that, and it's single wall sheet metal. It's stacked up 3 or 4 deep, but it's so interesting how a unitized body car draws strength off the other panels.
Yeah.
And yeah. Chris said it best. He said, when we were talking about putting the rocker panel in, he said that rocker panel is, you have to look at it like your frame rail. That's the outer frame rail of the whole car. And it's super important to have that thing in properly, in the right place, and welded in correctly.
Yeah, if you didn't have frame connectors, there's nothing in between there, is it?
Nope.
Just body panels,
Nope.
pan.
So I'm going to call this day a win, man.
Yeah, I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, I am too. And it's amazing how much more work 2 guys can get done than 1 guy.
Yeah, and we've done this in less than a day, and we've been to lunch because it took us a little while to get going this morning.
Yep.
Both sides.
Yep. So we'll come back in here tomorrow and jump on it and get the quarters. We'll get everything else secured and locked in to where even if TC goes home and leaves it with me to finish, all I got to do is finish the welding and grind some welds down. So
yeah, let me show you this over here.
Yep.
No body work.
I know.
You know, just prime it and block it and done.
That's what I'm saying.
No rust repair, no dings.
You know, I'm man crushing on the AMD folks, but they really do a nice job of these quarters. And as soon as I took them out of the box, I knew that they were going to fit nice.
Yep, and you just think about the amount of time it took us to put this on today, and then think about the time it would take to replace this or repair this, and all the work and time that would go into that.
Yeah, because you and I have both got panels out of the box that are wrinkled down here, the style lines are goofy, and it's just not the case with these. So as much work as we've had to do to put them on, it sure was a nicer way to go, and with a better panel.
Yeah, they fit nice.
Yeah. Well, cool. We're going to shut it down for the night. Okay, TC was showing me this after we shut the camera off, and I just had to show you guys, because you talk about a fit and a panel fit. This all sees the original backing plate. It all talks to it. It's right there. It's super close. That's an easy plug weld to make. All the way up here, all the way around here. That's exactly where that panel is supposed to be. I'm very, very happy. Very, very happy. All right, so we're coffeeed up. We've been here for a few minutes, and I'm wearing the same stinky shirt, and TC changed his shirt, so I don't know. Anyway, we had a planning session last night over a margarita the size of your head, and yeah, so how do you feel about it this morning?
I feel good about it. I thought about it all night last night of
Yeah.
what the next steps are, but I feel real good at where we're at right now.
Yeah, I kind of restored the rest of it in my sleep, and I feel good about it, except for it wasn't finished when I got in here. But let's look at this quarter panel. This just requires welding it in. We're not going to weld it in yet. We're going to set the other one exactly where it needs to be, and then put the tail panel in, and then get everything lining up. The good news is we've got, I think, a really good trunk gap on either side with the aftermarket trunk. And I was going to use the original one, but it's just too ate up. It's just all eat up on the inside. So we're going to use the AMD one, even though I had to dolly one side because I dropped it. Yeah, so there's that, and the benefit that it's E-coated both sides, it's not rusty. But over here, I've built up the rear bumper because it's going to help us locate those quarters, or at least confirm that the quarters are in the right spot. So this is a separate bumper kit, and had to kind of invent some hardware. But it's surprising to me that this is the size of a spaghetti strap, and there's 8 mounts on this thing. But I've got to protect it with some masking tape because it's pretty chrome. But this guy right here is our tail panel. Now we're going to use a combination of spot welds and rosette welds. TC's marked this out here, so that's where we know our spot welds are going to go. And this piece of kit right here, they don't make that, and it goes right here, doesn't it?
Yeah, just like that.
So that's where it goes, and I think we lined this up with the. Do we just center it? Because I think the keyhole's slightly off center.
Yeah, we'll probably put a latch on it and actually latch the trunk, and then we can spot that in place.
Right. Yeah, and just kind of locate it that way. Maybe we can. Yeah. Anyway.
Yep, and I've been working on these lips, making these lips and the lips on the quarters fit as we're going along.
Yeah, because that has to be a nice flush fit, right?
Yep.
It's going to be an interesting challenge welding that in too, because with the jaws of the spot welder, it's hard to get around certain places, but this still needs to be welded up in here. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to weld on the end and work it in because you just can't get to it sometimes. Right. But another beauty of what you're doing right here is that we can actually locate these mounts a little bit. If we need to move these just a little bit to move that bumper while we're installing it, we can really tune that in.
Yeah, and Walt from AMD told me, he said, when you're mocking this up, he said, make sure your bumper mounts align. He said, guys, make the mistake of fitting everything else and not having those holes be like that. So that kind of sticks in my head because he's kind of an encyclopedia of this stuff.
But where we're at right now with it tech screwed at the door with our door pocket fitting, every bit of this, we'll just adjust it all the way through before we weld it.
Yeah.
And then we can just move it right where it needs to be.
The natural seat of that panel is pretty nice too.
Yeah, well now that you got that inner fender in, it actually snaps on and locates. You've got that inner lip exactly where it needs to go right now.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew it was perfect. Let's pop this quarter panel on.
All right.
And just kind of
show
YouTube. Yeah, so in here, all of these we've been dressed on the backside. We've got the Weld-Through Primer on all of the exposed metal on the insides and outsides. And I want to address this because it's in my brain. the guys, it's a TV show called Graveyard Cars, and they do mostly Mopar stuff, and they do really nice work. What they do on these panels is they paint, they literally mask off where the Weld-Through Primer is, and they put the full paint job on the insides of the panels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a big commitment, and even the factory didn't do that, right? So I think their purpose for doing that is corrosion control, and for the next 100 years. E-coat is a good coating. I mean, what do you do in Bay 1?
Well, we use Heat Shield Products sound deadener. They got that lightweight sound deadener.
Is it a spray-on?
No, it's a peel and stick and heat shrink.
Yeah.
And I usually line the inside of those panels with it.
Yeah.
Because the E-coat is in good shape, unless you've nicked it or something like that.
Yeah.
But some people undercoat it.
Well, I'm not going to have access to this, but I'll have access to this panel about to there. So, I don't know. I'll probably do some sort of a paint job inside the trunk, and certainly we'll carpet it and stuff like that. But I'm going to leave these like they are, and that's more protection than what the factory did. The factory had bare metal panels, right?
Yep. Yeah, but this is the best thing. Treating that bare metal at those weld spots, that's where it starts. Because you can see that when somebody hasn't done that. That's the first place you see the oxidation and the rust is at all those pinch welds. But really, it's your own preference, because what you got right here will work. But you can go to any level if you want to paint it and undercoat it, sound deaden it. But like on Supercharger, we actually sound deadened every bit of that before it went on.
All right, let's set this silly thing up on there. So by now the panel knows where it's going to go. But look, it just sits up in there super nice and easy. So I come back. 1/2 inch.
That's pretty good.
All right, so the marching orders are do this side like that side, and then we'll...
Yep, we'll just secure it right down through here where it matches this. And then we'll work the rest of it out.
Yeah, it's pretty tight right now. We'll work it back.
Yeah, it needs to come back just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, look at that, just him pulling on it, just open up the gap.
And we got to set the window, you know.
Yeah.
Very important to set that window.
All right, so now you know what we know. Time to go to work.
It's getting really, really close. I was just trying to turn that lip right there. So you see how tight it fits right there, and I was trying to get that. That's where I was headed.
Yeah, because those corners relax. And like you said, they move around in the box.
So it looks like it just got me right there.
Look right here. I worked so hard getting these things in, and that's just mild pressure. So I'm going to trim these down, just get that, because that 90 right there is a little tall, and it's not allowing that tight fit. So I'm going to trim that down once this panel's off on the horse again. We'll just take it a corner at a time. With this coming up, that'll kind of sit in.
And that'll help us right here.
Yeah. So I've got my friction jack.
That's pretty good right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting closer.
This is going to give me a trim line. I'll do that on both sides and whittle that down, and Bob will be our uncle-ish. So this is what was going to happen from the start. I'm working on a panel that TC needs to test fit, so I'm going to get this done real quick right here. Nice consistent line. Once my Sharpie mark's gone, then I stop. Once the stop sign. I'm completely out. Yeah. Just discussing the Shortage of tech screws. What TC's doing here is an interesting technique. I saw a guy do this online also, but ratchet straps are going to be a soft way to pull this panel in. He's got a ViceGrip to the pinch there, and it's just going to put symmetrical pressure on the bottoms of those quarter panels and help us so we don't, if we had 4 arms on each body, then we'd be able to do this without a ratchet strap.
Yeah, and right now they're just too wide.
Yeah. You trust me?
I don't know. All right, give her a little love tap there. God, how'd you break your hammer? I've never seen anybody break a hammer before.
That's from smashing rocks. I think I got that from my father-in-law.
Would you rather
break rocks in his yard?
Would you rather be like that or like that?
I'd rather be farther away from your wrist, honestly. All right, you ready?
Yes. All right, let's see what that did. I thought I saw it move.
Let me get out of your way.
Well, that did a lot right there.
Wow.
You want to do one more, or do you think
Let's do one more so it just sits pretty in a natural state.
Because see, we're still not to that.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of room.
And we can tweak that out. Just roll that back out. Because I did tap that back, honestly. But anyway, you ready?
Yep. All right, let's see what that did.
All I know is you're a brave man. I was doing that right-handed, and I'm a left-handed guy.
We got a little out of it. You want that, or you want more?
What do you think? What's your call?
I don't know. You know, whatever the tightest gap is going to be what you got to get all the rest of them to.
That's way better down the bottom.
I think that's pretty good right there.
Yeah.
I think I can pull a little bit out of that.
Well, and I can tap that in a little bit also. Yeah, that's it. It had its way with that.
It buckled a little bit.
Oh,
We'll dolly it out.
well, it's going to be a Bondo buggy anyways. I'm going to put at least 3/8 of an inch of Bondo on the whole car. I'm not.
I work on it a little more. I think I've got most of it.
Yeah. Just a note, did you see his hammer technique? He was glancing the hammer, the crown, this way and brushing the crown of the hammer. It's a subtle difference, but that technique, I use that technique a lot. Ron Covell taught me that technique. And that actually, the friction of the hammer blow hitting the surface pulls it or pushes it, right?
Yes, and it will move it unbelievable amounts. It moves it.
Yeah. Yeah, so just know that. Just mess around with it at home, right? You know, and you'll figure out what works and what doesn't. But hitting it straight on isn't always the best strategy. It's not always the answer.
No, not if you can kind of imagine where that metal needs to go, because if you hit it straight on, you can actually move it in the wrong direction.
Right. Well, as the hammer blow hits, it pushes the metal out. Even without a backing, with a dolly, it's going to peen it and push it out evenly. But this will actually push it out that way and cause a low spot here and just kind of get you going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and the good thing about what I did is I knew where the point of impact. I knew it was impacted this way from where it was hit. Sometimes you don't, if you got an oil can or something like that, and you have to predict it. But if you know which way it came, you can work it right back into that direction.
Yep.
The new metal, I've been working on that A model, that older metal, well, it really moves compared to this newer metal.
You were talking about that yesterday, so let's talk about that, because I've worked on a couple of old Packards that my buddy Mark Lambert sent my way, and you know, going from the metal up with those cars, the metal feels different. Describe what you're talking about with that.
Well, it's more pliable and movable, and I don't know a lot about it, but I think it's because there's more carbon maybe back in the day or something.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how that worked in the metal itself.
Yeah.
But I know the older stuff, and it's a 31 model, and you can really move it around. It's amazing how much you can move it around from just like that technique, where this is a little more tinny and doesn't move as well.
Yeah, I think it's a difference in the alloy of the metal before it's cold rolled. So internet, If there's guys that know metallurgy from the cars of the 20s, post a comment down below and let us know what your theory is or what your knowledge is on why the older pre-war cars, the metal just, it smells different when you weld it, and it moves around different when you strike it.
Yeah, I enjoy working the older metal.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to move around.
Yep. Cool. All right. This PSA brought to you by Bay One Customs. All right, so I'm going to test fit this rear panel, but I want to show you these witness marks here. Now, what I mean by witness mark is a wear mark, literally right there. See how that, it's been test fit 97 bazillion times in and out, but it's worn the E-coat off there, and a place similar on the other side. So what I'm going to do is just acknowledge that and tap this down. Just a little bit on these areas here. Got another 2 over here. You can really see that one, and that's what's been giving me trouble, is keeping that, pushing it down too far. So I'll ask it strongly to move. And that looks horrible. Good. Yeah, misfired on that one.
Was it being ornery?
Yep, sure is.
What happened?
Yeah, it's about 3/8 of an inch too far that way.
Now I've got some tension on it. Is that what's messing with you?
I think.
Underneath? Because I just guessed on where that.
Oh, that's right. You got the ratchet strap on there. See? Sabotage. Sabotage. Bring him over here to help me work. Celebrate Bay One Customs. Here we go. And he shoots me in the foot.
Yeah, just give her a little release there.
There's not much tension, but I think it's just enough. There's the thingy. That's better.
What are we hitting here?
It's got to come up a bit. So my thought was...
That's what it is. It's hit. Because I've got this. Look at this now. We've got 2 screws. I'm gonna put. I don't know if I can find one more. Put one in it.
Yeah, that's nice and even. Yep, we like that. Yeah, and that's nice and flat too. And we could spoon that back a little bit. Just tap that and buy another 16th right there.
Yep. And there's probably a bunch of paint and.
Yeah, there's on top of the original. There's 4 paint jobs and heavy primer application on top of the original paint on this car. So we'll buy some tolerance and clearance just by stripping the paint down.
Let's set the glass one more time and lock this down.
Okay.
I'll move that stuff out of the way. And then we can actually put a screw here, and then this ain't coming back off.
Yep.
Are you going to reuse that glass?
I think I am. I'm going to clean it up and see if it's scarred anywhere, but I think I am. It's original glass. Might as well, right? That's another $300 I don't have to spend. This probably doesn't do a hill of beans worth of difference, but it makes me feel better.
Yeah, that one in TJ's car, I used the same glass to do all that.
Right.
You know, welding all that in, all the filler work. I expected to have to buy glass, but somehow we did all that for.
Well, that glass on that 69 Charger is such an interesting shape. it bulges out in different areas and ways, and I'll give you that side. So that's located just about perfectly. You can still see that mark where the old butyl tape was, and I believe it's going to stand a little higher than that. But
Yeah, that's come off of this one. Let me get one more little spacer for that.
all right.
Scoot that up just a little
What we're
bit.
trying to do is get it up in the way that it's going to seat naturally, and then we'll space it out, and it just double checks the location of the quarter panels. Because the challenge is getting them close enough here to where we've got a decent trunk gap.
All right, see if you can pick it up on your thing. There we go.
Have you got any more of those paint paddles?
Yeah.
Then we have one for this corner here. This right here, it's super tight. It's right on the metal, and we don't want that. This glass curves under like that, and I want it standing up to allow for room. For the seal, when we actually put this in without having to, because we're going to be smacking this thing down to make sure the seal seats. That's the slap happy thing. All right, so that makes me feel better there. It seems like it's got to come my way a bit.
So you got two under there.
Yeah.
Let me put two under this side.
The glass is flexible. My physics teacher in high school explained to our class one day how glass was actually a liquid in a solid state, and that eventually a piece of plate glass standing straight up will eventually gravitate down and bulge. So he was, Mr. Jones, he was a super smart guy that blew our little 14-year-old gourds. We couldn't believe that was the truth, because it's glass, it's solid, but anyway.
I know the glass is one thing that can really give you a fit on a build a car.
Yeah, but with the trim pieces inset into here, this is okay. I'm a little concerned that it's that high there, but do you think that's all right?
Well, what we can do is roll this down just a little bit more. What I was doing a minute ago.
Yeah, over there on the other side. So just take your vice grips and just roll it down.
And just roll it just a little bit. So I'll roll both those down a little bit more, and then we'll do one more fit.
What's your fit on that side? This is
It's about the same.
Okay.
So I need to roll it just a little bit as well.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right, let's take it out.
So I'm going to trim about 1/16 or 1/8 off the top of here. I don't want to trim too much because that's another bolt location for the rear bumper, so I need to keep some of this here. But it was just interfering a little bit, so I'm just going to trim it off just a taste on the top. Tap that in too right there because that's a little bit high.
We won't need them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a decent little gap now.
Yeah, it's raised off of the metal. I'm going to put one of these paddles under here. And the whole thing can come up too, but what's the
That looks pretty good. Need
Okay.
to come my way just a little bit, but I think we're
all right, that was about a 8.
pretty good as far as the line goes.
Yeah, and this is bowed down. I mean, it's single wall, it's flexible. So when we put that roof skin on there, it's going to have that crown stamped into it. And that I did that roof skin on Zed's sled, and it was super nice panel. So it's the same thing. So this will come up, and this gap will close, right?
Yep. Yep, my biggest thing was just getting that to here.
Yep.
And we're good to there now, so.
All right. So I've been locating off that center screw hole there.
My side is wonderful.
This is, yes.
All we gotta do is put a little Well, it'd be nice to have my shrinker here. You got a shrinker, don't you?
I do.
Well, you know, actually, it's just the foot right there. And the foot on that one.
That's a little tap, tap, tap.
Yeah. All right, well, I tell you what we can do is we can go ahead and get this mounted and maybe try to center up as much as possible right here.
Yeah. Sounded official. So if you look at your bumper bolt holes,
Yeah.
are they in line?
I'm pretty close.
I'm not. I'm about 3/8 of an inch down.
Yeah, it is down too, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see the holes.
Like left to right alignment, what I need is a drift pin to pull that up on either side, right? All right, so that's the plan. More tools, more screws, more materials, more time.
Maybe I'll take that out.
Let's take that out. That should be able to just...
Is it welded up in there?
It's welded to the... Yeah, we should be able to just beat it.
Just kick it out?
Yeah, I'll get the sledge. Like that.
Oh yeah, there we go. Didn't help much. Well, maybe it did a little bit, 'cause I'm over it now. Heck, that did help a lot.
Yeah, and I can pull up on it from my side, dude.
Yeah, I can get in the holes here now too.
Okay, good. I can take the brackets off of the bumper and just bolt the...
Sandwich it all together, that piece and all.
Yeah.
And then once we got it located, then we can just plug weld these in there.
Yeah.
And plug weld the rest. And
Yeah, all right, good. Change of new plan. Like that.
hang on, you have to get into the come on. Right there.
Hey guys, me again. Just letting you know, we spent about another hour and a half on that rear body panel because it's an important piece of the puzzle. There's a lot of intersections there, from the sides of the quarters to the trunk floor, the tops of the quarters, how the deck lid aligns, and how the deck lid and the relationship of the rear body panel and the trunk transition and the rear glass. It all has to be a big jigsaw puzzle. So I'm going to spare you about 45 minutes worth of video and just say, we nailed it. The taillight panel proved to be the most challenging to install. It mates up against the crossrail and intersects with both quarters down below, which are semi-movable panels, both quarters up above, and the trunk lid. So it took a lot of coordinating to get all those points to match up. We focused on fitting the top first around the taillights and then locked it in with the tack weld. All right, so this contraption here, this ratchet strap is begging for a slide. So what we're trying to do is pull a slight diamond out of the trunk fit, and it's so close. All right, so we did a couple of things without you looking, and we just had to focus on squaring it up and stuff like that. But what we've done is we've got this located. You can see the tack welds here, and that keeps this brow exactly where it needs to be. And we did the same thing on that side. And our trunk lid is perfectly square, and now we're ready to start tacking. It's locked in, right?
Yeah, it's locked in. We'll put some Tetz screws here and there on some of these spots, but once we get the trunk on there, then we can go in here and set the depth on the lip for the seal.
So far we are, what time is it? It's
12-ish.
Yeah, so we're 4, 8, 10, about 10 hours in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 10 hours.
Yeah. All right, 10 more. So you can see what we're doing. There's vice grips attached to the bottom of the quarter. And TC's just literally pulling the sides in. And you can see it gathering. Still got a bit to go, but
Yeah, it's getting close right there.
yeah, that's good. What's the other side look like? Ooh, the other side looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna clamp this right here and get this flushed out, clamp it at the bottom, and throw some tacks in there and lock that sucker in.
Yep.
And so under here we've got these guys. It's a cross rail support actually. There's one on each side. And I'm gonna have to tune them a little bit, but they'll go right there. So I'll make those fit and I'll burn them in. And that just ties in the trunk drop off and the rest of the panel a little bit. We'll get there. All right, so one other thing that we got to put in here after the fact are these tail panel support brackets. Are they sitting here? I might have to do some fine tuning on them a little bit. They line up with those bumper bracket holes. Right in there, you can see how they contour. It doesn't support against the quarter, but it gets the trunk floor. Just gives that rear body panel just a little bit more strength. All right, well, we decided to call it a day because this thing it's a car again. So, yeah, all the strategic corners is what I'm going to call them are locked in. Everything's burned into place. Our panel gaps to the quarters and doors look great.
The fitment on that's great.
Trunk lid looks great. So this right here, you can tell it's a little bit proud right here, but we put a straight edge on here. That dips down a little bit. So that's just a matter of jacking that up from the middle. I can easily put the crown back in that, right?
Yep. Same on this side. But all that is in and working good.
Those are minor adjustments, and I was wanting to wait until we put the deck lid on before I lock this in place. I'm going to use a combination of spot welds and rosette welds on there too, but all of that's in good shape, and we got the gaps and the transitions to the panel. I've got some welding. This is a pinched panel between here and the cross rail, and so I'll get that with the spot welder later on. And there's some more welding to do, but everything is locked in to where it's going to be. It's found its final home, man.
Yeah, not bad for a day and a half.
No, pretty dang good.
To where we're at.
Yep.
So, yeah, get on the rotisserie and finish up all that welding. That's going to be great having the rotisserie.
Yep.
And finish that up.
Yeah, I might weld up here where it's comfortable from a sitting position, just weld up the sides, then do the rest flat-footed while it's upside down.
Yep.
Tools are fun that way.
Yep, so I think we got it in good shape. We've test fit our window, test fit our valance.
Yeah, so there's nothing that I'm worried about. There's nothing that I'm going to lay awake at night stressing about with this car anymore.
Nope.
That's it.
Well, and when we started, you know, we set the doors, we set the front fender, set all that front end to make sure our doors are in a good spot, and then worked our way around.
Yeah.
And I'm always concerned because if you set this up with one of these doors forward of the other, and then you set this quarter forward of the other,
your whole car.
When you put your trunk in, it's not going to line up back here.
Yeah.
And when you got this gap back here, if this one's forward, it's going to have a diamond shape. There won't be no way to get that one out.
Yeah.
If that happens. So yeah, it looks good.
Yep. And all of that. And I'm going to body work this a little bit more. You've inspired me to make this straighter and use less polyester on it. A little bit of whittling to do on the bottom of that door. And it sure is nice to see that RS front end on it again. And it just locks it in that's the car I want right there.
I like that. And,
Yeah.
you know, and even though your other trunk lid was in good shape, you know, this one's ready to prime and paint. I mean, look how nice that is.
The other trunk lid was ate up in the bottom skin.
Oh, was
It's all
it on the
rusted
inside?
across here? Yeah. It was I needed a lid anyways, and that's brand new E-coat. It's in perfect condition, and yeah, it's ready to go. We've got some filler work to do right there.
It got dropped.
It got dropped. Whatever, it happens. Gravity.
But it's been
still
on and off
works.
there
Yeah.
numerous times. What did we figure we had each quarter on and off? About 8 times, somewhere around there?
I think about 8 times, yep.
Yep, on and off, on and off.
Yep. So great. I can't thank you enough, man.
All right, yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Well, very cool. Well, thanks, man. And yeah, anybody watching, check out Bay One Customs on YouTube and just check out the really cool stuff. And as this year's winded to an end, and next year, I don't know, we say this every time, but we're going to get together and do some fun stuff. And now that TC's channel is woken back up again and mine is really starting to roll, thanks to you guys, we're going to do some interesting stuff, and we're going to bring you guys all kinds of places. We were just bench racing, talking about bringing the Miata and another car out to the drag strip, and our buddy Randy Jones has got a wheel standing Monza, and yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. And we'll take you along with us, but for now we're going to shut it down, and I'm just going to shake your hand and say thanks, man.
Hey, thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Me too. Garbage no more. It's a car.